Welcome to the Leo Kanan Podcast. We talk about everything metaphysical, esoteric, and we relate those principles back to everyday life and everyday topics. Got my guest with me today, Sean. Sean, what's going on, man?
Can't call it, out the way, maintaining.
So let's get right into this topic about shame-based control. What's happening now? If you take a close look at this manosphere conversation, where you got a lot of these guys out here, these average guys are real upset at women that are leaning towards this OnlyFans thing. And it seems like it's a generational move. You know, a couple generations ago, you don't have as many girls. Well, in fact, generation ago, you didn't even have OnlyFans. You didn't have the apparatus in place for women to make this kind of money. And now it's evolved into, a girl can make $5-10 grand a month, up to $100,000 a month, bring home 7 figures a year just off of erotic pictures and conversations, etc. on the internet. And so you have in the OnlyFans arena, these guys are trying to shame them away from that. And I think that's a flawed system. For one, they're doing this based off of their belief system, which is, in most cases is Christianity, in some cases it's Islam. And like I always say, we approach everybody's belief system with trepidation, always maintain respect for the belief systems. But I think this is not the way to try to curtail this epidemic of OnlyFans girls where they making this money. Once you take the wolf out the woods and take him to the city, once he's seen Paris, can you send him back in the city? Now, once these girls, women make 100 grand a month, you're going to take her, she's going to go from that to back to zero, or you're going to take her that, she's going to go back from that to being a dental hygienist and doing, 60, I don't know what a dental hygienist makes, 70,000, 80,000 a year, I'm assuming. But that's a big difference than 100,000 a month. So I think we're experiencing a paradigm shift in American culture. And I don't think that a shame-based control mechanism is the way to go, by trying to get these girls to shame them away from doing this. In effect, Jordan Peterson makes a statement. One of the few people on the internet that actually makes sense out there. Yeah. And Jordan Peterson says, in order for a man to be effective, he has to know how dangerous he is. And this goes back to Sun Tzu, The Art of War. This is an ancient thought process. It's better to be a warrior in a garden than a gardener in a war. So a man has to understand himself as being dangerous. He has to be able to go to that place, but he has to be in complete control of himself. He has to give off that energy so that anything coming towards him that may want to bring danger to him understands that he may be a bigger threat, right? So that's why I never have a problem with walking through any city anywhere. Most of my traveling I do by myself anyway. Wherever I go, in the world, I go by myself because I don't take fear with me. Of course. You see what I mean? Now, but isn't it fair for a woman to understand herself as that same type of weapon? What I mean is, we wouldn't have an OnlyFans culture if we were not having a problem with weak men. So, nature sends us what we need. If we're having a problem with weak men in our country, in our society, then nature responds to that by sending this, by weaponizing women. Drain these men for everything they got. Get them out of the way so they understand their place in the hierarchical structure. Because if you're willing to pay $3, I don't care how much it is, even if it's $3, if the girl has the best deal and she's the most attractive girl on the internet and she's giving the best special, it is only $1.99 a month, and you can see all the goodies. You can see the whole cookie jar for $1.99. If you're willing to pay $1.99 to see this woman see her cookie jar, you need to look in the mirror. You need to take a long, hard look in the mirror and look yourself in the eyes and be honest with yourself. You see what I'm saying? Because we call a lot of things the gateway drug. Now, if the woman, she thick, all the right places, she made out of the right material, and she running the special, $1.99 a month, check out the cookie jar. That's the gateway drug. Because then when you going to go from paying a $1.99 a month to $5.99 a month. You see what I'm saying?
$100.
$100. Then next thing you know, because you got guys out here. They had one time they had the girl that is she's selling jars of her bath water. Yeah, you had a girl out here. She's in the tub. She's selling jars of bath water. And guys, I don't know how much it was, but it shouldn't be anything. It shouldn't be an economy for that.
I got something for that.
But do you see what I'm saying?
I see where you're going.
Is she the villain? I saw one time on the podcast, the girl sat there and they was talking about she was making, I think she made like 6 or 7 million in 1 year off her OnlyFans. And she said she had what was called some pay pigs. And this is a pay pig is a guy that's just going to drain his bank account and sending this girl all his money for pictures, for conversations, for all of this stuff. And now we are attacking these women for doing that. When in reality, we should be attacking these men. Right. You see what I mean? Because nature, the female is just the response. That's how nature responds to the man. So in your society, anytime your women are taking wide left turns like this, the men are supposed to look in the mirror. You're never supposed to look at the female aspect of the species and say, oh, we got to get them back in control. No, they are responding to something we are doing or not doing correctly. You feel me?
Absolutely.
So the guy, how does OnlyFans exist if men are not supporting it?
It don't exist.
Exactly. So where do we go from there?
Men got to tighten up. They got to tighten up. You got to have things that you're actually interested in, that you're doing, that you're working on, your crafts, your hobbies. That's how you get on code. But a lot of men, they don't got nothing. They do the OnlyFans. You know, a certain industry that I was in, you'll see transactions. You'll see OnlyFans. Wait a minute, OnlyFans. And you looking at OnlyFans and you looking at, well, I need help. I need some financial help. How you need financial help? You just stop buying them OnlyFans. I'm seeing OnlyFans purchases on your transactions. That's all I'm seeing is OnlyFans. Well, I'm having a hardship. We all having a hardship at this point in time. But if you keep doing these OnlyFans transactions, you're going to keep having a hardship. And the ship going to get harder. You got to take it easy. So I think men have to find things to do with their time. Again, we tapped on that. Idle mind, devil's playground. So you always got to find something that you're being active in. You find your hobby, find you something to do with your time. And a lot of men, they don't have that. And You know, you see the OnlyFans. I'm not. Look, let me tell you something. I'm not buying nothing. If we go out to eat, you gonna eat with me because that's the type of guy I am. We gonna eat. We gonna break bread because that's the spirit. We gonna eat. But I'm not coming out of my whole pocket to make you, Beyonce or something like that. Because last time I checked, just how I'm coming in the game, you coming in the same way. I'm not finna just come off of everything and empty my pockets to be with you, But see, men have to work on that confidence. A lot of individuals, they don't got that, as men.
Yeah,
and that comes with working on yourself.
Yeah, and that's why that's the main reason why we started the Truffle Pig Society, to get men together and to positively influence each other, help one another discover what that craft is, keep each other focused on that 10,000 hour goal, because you need to put that 10,000 hours in your craft before you can consider yourself a master. And now we've gotten into a generation, I've spoke to so many young men that don't even understand that concept. And it doesn't matter what it is. If you're trying to write in any form, novel, screenplays, playwright, creative content, you want to learn how to play an instrument, you want to learn a foreign language, martial arts, you can, one of my favorite cook shows back in the day was Guy Fieri. And Guy Fieri, what he did was he just traveled and he just ate. And that's all he did. But this dude had a blast doing it. He was really entertainment. He would get in there, he explained the food, he in the back kitchen with you, and he was living his dream. He was a version of, what's his name? Anthony Bourdain.
That's my guy too.
Yeah,
Bourdain.
Shout out to Anthony Bourdain. I really loved Anthony Bourdain's show. He would travel, and he had more of an elite approach to it. Guy Fieri was for the everyday man. Anthony Bourdain was a little more elite. He'd travel. He want to get down in the culture with you. He want to understand. You got this recipe from your grandmother. How'd your grandmother develop it? He want to get in there. He want to drink some wine. You're not going to even eat the food if you can't show him where you got some good wine to go with it. You know what I mean? And Anthony Bourdain, I thought that was a loss, man, when we lost Anthony Bourdain. I thought he was a high water mark in the human evolution, is what it looked like to me, because he was really enjoying life, and so was Guy Fieri. Yeah. But my point is, these are men. You can find any lane as a man, and natural law is going to support you in that endeavor if you put in your creative energy into that.
That's right.
But if you steady trying to stick your hand in a cookie jar, then what we have is an epidemic of men just want to stick their hand in a cookie jar, and so now that has given birth to this OnlyFans culture. You see what I mean? Yes, and so now, we're experiencing a paradigm shift, because you can't. We've reached a point where it's pointless to try to shame these women off of OnlyFans culture.
It's at a point of ridiculum. Like, they're trying to shame the women for, you shouldn't be trying to drain these men's bank accounts, or you should know that, they have nothing left. And how would they know this? They have no idea who's on the other end. Maybe he should be responsible for knowing how much he has and how much he has that is disposable, instead of losing his mortgage and now his family's out of a house because he can't control himself.
There's no disposable income for that. There's no disposable income for that. You know what I'm saying? I can't imagine that type of reality, because the bottom line is, if you cannot villainize a woman for, if this guy is over here, let's say this guy is married, he's got children, he's got kids, couple kids going off to college, or he's got a child in college, and he's got a mortgage, he's got 401k, and you got a young girl out here, 25 years old, with the OnlyFans, and she's drained all his coffers. Now his wife wakes up one morning, and the well is dry, because your husband just sent all of you guys' savings and hard-earned money to this girl, that just bought her $120,000 pink Jeep with your money that you've been working to get, and he done bought the OnlyFans girl a pink Jeep with it. That's not that, nature did. It's a painful process, but nature just did that woman a favor.
I'm not mad at her, honestly.
You can't be mad at her, but nature simply did that wife a favor. That's what happened with that. She gonna have to do a reboot. She got to do a factory reset, obviously, and that's a painful process. Nobody wants to do a factory reset, but in the long run, nature's goal was to get that weak man, a man with that much weakness, out of the mix.
Right.
Because that's all nature's trying to do. It is trying to streamline us as a species and evolve us through efficiency, so that we're a highly efficient organism. And so with each generation, you can see that efficiency stepping up through our technology. And all that is now is that technology is the utility of the OnlyFans community. And it's just found a way to get an epidemic of weak men out of the way. So the answer is to get men back to a place where, because they all are brothers,
definitely.
Black, white, don't matter, Chinese, we all men, we're all on the same team. Hopefully, we like to think so. And so the thing is to create a safe space for men, a sacred space where men can go and understand how and what they should be doing, what their real roles are in society, and not pointing, because that's a narcissistic trait for a woman to have an OnlyFans and then you're blaming her because these men are spending all their time and money on it.
That's simp energy. I'm gonna keep it all the way of being with you. That's simp.
That's simp energy.
I can't, But see, I think a lot of that too is depending on how you was molded, how you was cut. A lot of this is GMO. When you come and you cut from a certain cloth, you're gonna be a lot different. That's your upbringing. That's your environment. That's the people that you're around. A lot of them, they was raised differently. They wasn't raised a certain way. So
they wasn't raised right.
Man, so now they think that everything is supposed to be instant. It takes time. So, a lot of times when you want to go engage in a woman or a female, it's, you're going to play the part. You're going to get dressed up. You're going to make sure you smelling good. You're going to make sure you got a specific smell. It's levels to it. You're going to make sure you're on point. You're going to put on the nice shoes. You're going to make sure your hair is cut clean. You're going to make sure you're on point. You're going to make sure that you all the way ready so that you can gain her attention. And see, the way I was raised, the women, they dress nice, smell good, look good, very feminine. Hair done, nails done. I'm seeing aunties, cousins, just the whole society. It was different. And when it comes to the men, a lot of PIs and different things of that nature in the community. I seen them driving the nice cars. They had a nice car. They dressed nice. They looked good. They always had a good fragrance on, and they moved differently. It was a whole status that came with it. You couldn't just come outside and just be looking, scruffy and it's not equating to $1, but at the same time, if you look good, you feel good. If you feel good, it's gonna come to you. But if you're not on that type of time, you're going to be at a decline. So it all works together. You got to make sure you're together and present your best self forward at all times. So a lot of individuals, they don't have that on them. And they think this is a flip side. It translates to the dollar because now they think because they got money, these it's tangible. Everything is disposable to them because they got money. And that works for both sides at this time, in society. So, everyone has to make sure they're on point. You make sure you taking care of yourself and you're able to, navigate that that world if that's where you want to go. But you know, a lot of individuals don't take the time to do that. You know, I've always made sure I was on point.
So how do we? But how do we pull them away from, the OnlyFans community? That is it here to stay?
I'm not hating on it. It's here to stay. It can stay, but you got to pay to play. It's like when you go to, if I don't gamble, but you play the slots at the casino, you're going to keep pulling that lever down and you might win sometimes. But at the end of the day, you're going to lose because you're not going to win. You're going to lose more times than you win. And that female, I can't be mad at her for hitting your pockets like that. That's on you. Because the game is to be sold, not to be told. You can't have, you sitting there, you spending your money and, she's getting paid. I can't hate on nobody that's making no money. It's not her fault. It's the man's fault.
She's doing what
she's
doing what natural law tells her to do.
Talk to me.
You know what I mean? Get all the weak men out the mix. You see what I mean? You got to get them out the mix.
Yeah.
Drain all of it out of them, and pile the bodies out the way.
That's right.
So we can move on to a higher state of evolution. We got more strong men in society.
That's right.
You see what I mean? We got men that's on business. We got men that's 10 toes down, that's focused on craft, focused on, working hard, working smart, and altruistic qualities. You see what I mean?
Love it.
If you got one paid subscription to an OnlyFans just because you want to see some boobs, you want to see some cake meat, you gotta push you to the side.
That's right.
You need it. We men, you want to see that, but
I want to see that too.
But bring that into your physical world,
right.
And then that's for dessert. You got to eat the real food first, the hard work, the craft, the 10,000 hours, and then you can bring out the dessert buffet. But if you just living a life where you are, you got porn in your life to any degree, anywhere on the spectrum, whether it's the girls in their underwear, you just got girls on your social media in clean draws, all the way to OnlyFans. It's all on the spectrum. You see what I mean?
Right.
You can't, we need that element in society. Historically, you've always had that. It doesn't matter if you go ancient Greece, Rome, ancient India, there's always an element of a sex work culture in there. So no matter where you exist in society, maybe you got status and means in society where you want to throw your boy a bachelor party and you want to look on internet and you want to get 10 of the nicest, looking women on the internet and say, listen, we're going to fly y'all out here. We having a bachelor's party. Everybody getting 10 racks. You see what I'm saying? That's who that element is reserved for.
Right, right.
If you're not living that life, you're not supposed to be participating in
That's
that.
right.
You know what I mean? Because your teeth gonna rot out. That's too much sugar in your diet.
Whose responsibility is it to change that? Because you have countries like China, for example, that they have TikTok or Instagram, and the only thing that they can put on there is like achievement of goals, like academic achievements or business achievements, things like that, or things where they're working on a craft. And none of this stuff that we see happening here is on the radar through social media.
Well, that's going to be the responsibility. That responsibility lies on what particular type of government you have in that country. Now, in this country where we have a free market and we have the benefits of living in a free market and we have a capitalist society and then we have a constitutional republic disguised as a democracy. Now, you throw all these things into the mixing pot, and at the bottom, at the end of the day, it is a government for the people, by the people, and of the people. And what that means is ultimately that responsibility is incumbent upon the man folk. You see what I mean? The man folk got to get their shit together, and the man folk have to focus on what men do, what the business of what men are supposed to be doing, not what women are doing and on the internet. You see what I mean? You can't be getting into no argument with women about what they're doing on the internet, because when men folk focus on men business, the first thing gonna come out of that is good government. And that's where the responsibility starts changing. Right now we're living in an environment where, we live under this guise of freedom of speech, and we'll die on that hill. We'll let it rot our teeth out, and we'll die on that hill, and we will never step into this point of responsibility towards boundaries. We will never have an adult conversation on what freedom of speech means and what its limitations are. Should there be limitations on it? Anybody could say anything, anywhere, anytime about anything. You know what I mean? And how responsible are we supposed to be towards that in terms of the influence that it is having on our vulnerable elements of society? Like, where do the regulations come in at? But we've got this premise of freedom of speech, and we're going to let that rot our teeth out. Nobody's going to, you see what I mean? Because when the men folk aren't doing what we're supposed to do, and the first order of business, if you understand the theme of Machiavelli's The Prince, if you understand the theme behind that, your first order of business is to demand good government. And you can't put boundaries and limitations on your government if it doesn't exist within.
Yeah.
If you don't understand boundaries and limitations and self-respect, if you don't have it within, it's going to be projected out to the whole through the government, and it's going to be projected out to the whole country. So when you live in a country like what we have, whatever our government is doing or not doing is just a projection of what the people want and don't want. But we also have the same group of people that's complaining about the government. Yeah. But it's up to you to demand good government.
Yeah.
So while all these boys are on with these podcasts, with these conversations, there's 10,000 conversations going on right now about what women are doing on the internet and trying to shame women. When these boys should, and you'll see a guy on the podcast and he'll have 10 girls sitting around the table and they're trying to shame these girls about OnlyFans, when in reality, if you're a true leader, if you're a man and a true leader, you should be having a conversation about social responsibility and good government, because that can be just as entertaining. How do we have that conversation and make it entertaining enough so that it can appeal to the younger generation? So that in times past, 200 years ago, 300, 400, all throughout human history, that maturity level was expected much sooner in life, to be mature, be responsible. You're 7 years old, you got to get up, you got to milk the cows, you got to get the eggs out, you got to get this shit to market. You see what I'm saying? Or we don't get no money, we don't eat for the day. Now, nature has allowed us so much technology and so many amenities of life that we've gotten away from how we should supposed to be living and the things we're truly supposed to be focusing on. You're not supposed to be focusing on technology. You're supposed to be focusing on the utility of it, not the technology itself, but how is it here to serve you? Now, if you look at it from that perspective, that means that the women folk are more evolved than the average man folk. When we're talking about the common people, We're not, you know what I mean? Because most of this is about the common people. Because if somebody don't have the right conversation with them and stop thinking that what they think is not important enough, they're the base of the pyramid. And if that base of the pyramid collapses, we all collapse down with it. You see what I mean? So we have to focus on them and get them back in alignment, because that's going to weaken the whole pyramid structure, and the whole way of life that we're trying to build here is going to come tumbling down. So we can't ignore them. You follow me?
I follow you. Yeah,
you know,
definitely.
So, you know, they are understanding the utility of this technology much better than the average men folk.
It's a tool.
You see what I mean? And they're using it as a tool. Anytime you got a woman that's 25 years old and she can figure out a way to sell pictures of herself on the internet for a subscription or whatever, and have conversations with you, or sell her dirty bathwater, and she's bringing down 7 and 8 figures a year from doing that, I think it's fair to say she fully understands the utility of the technology. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
Now, as a man, at man folk, how do you adjust to that? You can't slap them on the back of the hand.
Nah.
You can't shame them. They're just using the technology available to them to further, you know, their path.
You gotta get your money up. You gotta get and it's not just getting your money up. It's about being focused, have a craft, have a hobby. You got to be focused on what you need to be doing for yourself. I think that'll help a lot.
That brings us back to the Truffle Pig Society. And that's why, you know, that's why we started the Truffle Pig Society. So that, you know, we can get these guys focused on what they're supposed to be focused on and strengthen the base again, because the base is weak. The strength of the base is when they are demanding good government the right way, because now it's full circle. You see what I mean? We can still have the most amazing capitalist society and free market ever devised, but we have to be able to regulate ourselves. We have to have some form of limitation on ourselves. There has to be boundaries. You see what I mean? There has to be a system of, you know, where there's borders being drawn, or we're just going to eat ourselves to death.
Let me ask you this. Not to cut your wisdom, would you say that capitalism has something to do with it?
Capitalism has something to do with the whole thing. That's our way of life. But capitalism is not the villain. You know, I personally, it's just my personal preference. I want to live in a capitalist society. I believe in capitalism. You know, I think all forms of government come from planetary influences. And so, you know, we don't want to get too esoteric and spook everybody, but ancient cultures, before we start experiencing the humanist movement, and, you know, towards the end of the Dark Ages there, late 1500s, when we got into the humanist movement, when we had the guys writing and reinterpreting the Bible and everything. Before that, when you go back to ancient Greece and you go back to Rome and you go back to these cultures, they had a much more accurate understanding of our relationship to the stars and our relationship to planetary influences. And capitalism is a Jupiter influence, the same way, you know, communism is a Saturnian influence. You see what I mean? You know, so you gotta love and respect Saturn, or you won't get anywhere in life. You know, Saturn is where we get our limitations, our boundaries, and our discipline. But in Jupiter is that expansive energy. Jupiter can, if you don't put any limitations on Jupiter, Jupiter will expand and until it till it like a goldfish.
So we doing it now, right?
A goldfish will eat till his belly pop.
That right now. That's where we at right now.
You know, a goldfish is a goldfish is the ultimate capitalist. He will eat until his belly pops. Till his belly explode. When I was a kid, I would feed my goldfish till they eat, and you come back and check at them, and they turned over on their bellies. They didn't just ate till their belly popped. That's the ultimate capitalist right there. You know what I mean? So as a society, are we just going to eat till our belly pops? Or are we going to start having a real adult conversation about being a capitalist society and being able to put those limitations on us? This whole generation of girls that are going through OnlyFans, educating them on how to put that money back into the economy in ways that creates jobs or education and things like that. Because these girls are bringing down some big figures now. You see what I mean? And it's happening it's happening on a generational wave. It's not a one-off. We're experiencing a paradigm shift. So if you got kids now, whereas you have small children, their world, I mean, think about it like this. I can remember the world before the internet. And I'm not that old. I'm not super old. But I remember the world before the internet. I remember you had to call over to a girl's house and her dad pick up the phone. You know, you was at school. You should tell you, call at 7:30 because my parents they're gonna be watching TV. And then you can call at 7:30. And then you call right at 7:30 and her daddy pick up the phone. You know, and you like, hello, Mr. Johnson, is Felicia there? And he like, who is this? You see what I'm saying?
Right.
And then you sweating bullets because you know what I mean?
That's right.
Are you the little boy in Felicia's classroom? Did you do your homework? Or you calling here, you want to talk to Felicia. And then you can hear Felicia in the background. Mom, tell Daddy, give me the phone. You see what I'm saying? You don't have to go through none of that no more. Because the little boy DMing him and Felicia DMing at midnight.
Ain't no buffers.
Ain't no buffers. You know, he getting straight to Felicia. You know, I had to go through daddy and the uncle to talk to Felicia on the phone. And then her daddy give her the phone and be like, you got 15 minutes, young lady, and you're going back in there to finish washing those dishes. You see what I'm saying? We had 15 minutes to talk. That was it.
My time too back then.
And that's all. And you're gonna have to hit it with the square talk.
Oh yeah.
Did you do your homework? I did my homework already. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We passed that. So my point is, if you got little kids now, what the world gonna look like? Because the world is changing on a yearly basis now. We having technology explosions from year to year. And now you got AI on deck. You know, AI is on the clock now. And that means it's not gonna stop evolving until it run its course. AI has got to run the course. And so you got a lot of critics, you know, on the plus side of AI and on the negative side of AI. But what is inevitable is AI is on the clock. So whatever, good or bad, whatever's happening, and I'm all for it. I think it's a great thing. I think technology is here to serve us. But, you know, it's, for one thing, it's got to run its course. So, I mean, are we going to get to a point where AI solves the human problem for us? If we can't solve the human problem, is AI going to solve the human problem?
That's the next level.